All right, so this is reviewing reduced row echelon form. We'll be doing two examples. I'll be going over this first one, which we already did in class, but I'm just going to have everything uncovered so we can talk about, what's going on step by step. And then this, of course, is the answer. So, we all should know that this is our goal, right? To get ones in the diagonal and then everything above it and below those ones, zeros. This last column is your solution. So x is 2, y is -1, and then z is -3. So are we good on that, Adam?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so let's actually talk about it. So this is the original problem. We had to rewrite it as an augmented matrix, which we did. So we have three operations that we can use. We can use rows. We can also multiply an entire row times a scalar, or we can add or subtract two rows together. So those are the only three things that we can do. All right, so our first goal is to get a 1 in the top left. So you can see in this first operation, I noticed that there's a 1 here. So, I can say, hey, let's just swap row 1 and row 2 to make a 1 here. So that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
So far, so good?
Yeah.
All right, so next, I like to make everything below this 1 a 0. If you decide to try to make this a 1 first, what's going to happen is you're just making a lot more steps for yourself, because then that 1 may change once you try to make everything else a 0 around it. So you really kind of want to focus a column at a time is what I do. So I would do this 1 and then make these zeros. I'll make this a 1. I'll make above and below a 0. And then I'll make this a 1 and make everything above that a 0. So that's how I approach these problems. But it's not the only way. All right, so we're going to use, once this is a 1, we're going to use this row to multiply it by something and then add it to row 2 to make it a 0. So, you can see to make this a 0, I have to add the opposite, right, Adam?
Yeah, I see.
So that's why we multiply row 1 by -2 and then add it to row 2. Sorry, yeah, -2 times row 1 and then add it to row 2. So -2 times 1 is -2, and then -2 plus 2 gives us the 0.
I see. Okay.
-2 times -2 is +4, and then 4 plus 3 gives us the 7.
I got
negative, so and so forth, right? So that makes sense?
Yep.
Yeah, so and whenever you do this operation, even though we do the scalar, we don't change what row 1 is. We do the math, like I just took you through the first two elements in that first row, but only row 2 changes. So whatever is listed second in this addition subtraction, you only change row 2. And that's why we just copy row 1 and row 3 unchanged. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you.
So you can see how now that's a 0. So now we have to do the same thing with row number 3. So we're still going to use, again, we're going to use row 1 to, make that a 0. So you can see why I multiplied row 1 by -3, because -3 times 1 is -3. -3 plus 3 gives us our 0. And then -3 times -2 is +6. +6 plus 2 gives us 8, and so forth. Make sense?
Yeah.
So really, once you do that, we're just going to keep doing that. But now we want to make, from this, we now want to make this a 1. So after all these are zeros, we can now move on to this column, and we want to make the next diagonal number a 1. So, looking at, this 7 here, and we have an 8 here, we have a -2 here. So we can kind of be creative. Let's say all of these numbers in this row, it was a multiple of a 7. Let's say that was a 7. Let's say that was a 14, and that was a 21. I could just multiply this entire row by 1 over 7 to make that a 1. And then, if these were multiples of 7, they would stay integers, right?
Understand.
But so we could actually multiply this entire row by 1/7. The thing is, then we're going to have fractions. And that's okay. Like if you're okay with working in fractions, you can do it that way. I just, I like to try to avoid fractions if possible. So, using one of the 3 row operations, remember we can swap rows, we can multiply an entire row by some number, or we can, do one of these little math dealies, right, to change a row. So you can see the answer. What I did, I saw we need this to be a 1, and I saw that I know 8 minus 7 is 1, so that's what I did. I'm taking row number 3, and I am subtracting row 2. That's because 0 minus 0 is still 0. 8 minus 7 is 1. -5 minus -3 gives us our -2. And then 7 minus 2 gives us our 5. Is that clear?
Yeah, I got you.
So, these, again, there's more than one way to do these. You just have to really be creative to kind of think about, how can I make this a 1? And, there's really 2 things that we could have done. One of them would have had fractions. The way that we did it here, we still have just regular integers, no fractions. And then once that's a 1, we're going to use row 2 to make this a 0 and to make this a 0. So you can see, basically, I just multiply this row 2 by the opposite of this number. So that's why I did 2 times row number 2, and then we add it to row 1. So, starting at 0, 2 times 0 is still 0, and then 0 plus 1 is 1. So that stays a 1 right here. 2 times 1 is 2, and then 2 plus -2 gives us 0. 2 times -2 is -4. -4 plus 1 is -3. And then 2 times 5 is 10, and then 10 plus 1 is 11. Following so far?
Yeah, I'm following.
All right, good. All right, and then we just, we do the same thing, right? We got that as 0, now let's make this a 0. So you can see that we're going to multiply this row 2 by the opposite of this number, which is going to be -8, right? So we do that. So are we good on this step 2 then?
Yep.
All right, so once we are to here, so we have, we got the 1, we got these zeros, we got this a 1, we got this zeros, right? Now we want to go on to the next diagonal. We want to make this a 1. So again, we could kind of be creative here. Like I could have actually look at this. So see, that's 11. That's a -2. I could have multiplied. Well, actually, that would have been bad. I would say I could have multiplied row 2 by 5 and then added it to row 3. But then if we did that, we would have 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 plus 0, we would have had a 5 right here, and that kind of would have messed up that 0. So yeah, we couldn't have done that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so yeah, you got to be careful. We don't want to change these zeros. We want to keep them as so. So really, the only choice we could have done was basically divide, right, or multiply by the fraction 1/11 to clear it. And sometimes when we do this, this is where we have to have fractions, but in this case we don't. But it could, like, if that was like a 32, for example, instead of a 33, then we definitely would have had a fraction right there. But yeah, so one of the 3 things we could have done, multiplied the entire row by this scaling factor 1/11. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. What I'm also noticing here is as soon as we solve the number itself to be 1, the rest is just it multiplying by its opposite, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And
Gotcha.
once you do a few of these, and you kind of like you said, you see that pattern, and it's the same every single time. And if you look at it like that, the problem that when we first learned this, it
Mm.
looks really difficult. Then once you see the pattern, you're like, well, yeah, there's a lot of steps, but it's not that difficult once you do a bunch of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have ADD, so when I looked at, the page that had, all these numbers and, it looked
Yeah,
to me at first, it looked like solving a Rubik's Cube, how it needs to be in certain steps or else,
yeah.
so, but
No,
no,
I
it
hear you.
actually looks pretty simple. Yeah.
Yeah. So, once you, like you said, you do the opposite, right? And then, now we get down to this, which is the final answer. And then, translating this answer into the triplet ordered pair, X is 2, Y is -1, and then Z is -3, we're done. So this right here, this would be a TGA problem. This is your first TGA problem for this unit too. But let's look at one, this one, and
Mm.
this was from a quiz. So people watching this recording, if you got this problem, you're in luck because we're going to work it out together. But here's the thing. So look, this is drag and drop. We're not filling in the blank. Like on your quiz, and this is what I don't like about taking quizzes or tests online or quizzes is a lot of it's like select the right answer or fill in partial blanks or in this case drag and drop.
Mm.
It makes it a lot easier in the sense that uh, looking at like say these answers, right, these three matrices,
Mm.
and then looking at this, right, X is -2, Y is -3, Z is 4. You can pick out the order triplet, right? So it looks like -2, -3, and 4 go with this matrix. So if you chose this as the matrix, you better choose this one as the
Solution.
solution, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that should be clear. Like this one right here, you would choose this one. So these two go together,
Mm.
and then obviously this one and this one over here go together.
Mm.
But
There's
anyway,
always an answer that is
yeah,
definitely not right. Yeah.
right. So really, we only have three choices, right? We can either choose one of these. And the nice thing about this, if you just really didn't want to solve this, you could really just guess and check, right? We could just plug X, Y, and Z into all three equations to see if it works. So without actually doing any RREF operations, we could just
Is
guess and
that how that
check.
works?
It is, yeah. Yeah, and some people might choose to do that. And for this test, it's fine, but on the TGA, you still have to show that you know how to do it. But
I see.
I just wanted to point that out for those of you who just really don't like RREF and you want to kind of approach it the guess and check way. Yeah, you just make sure that, and you have to check all of them. If you just check the first one and you get a true statement, it doesn't mean it's going to work for the next two equations. So yeah, if you guess and check, you must check every equation with X, Y, and Z. And if they all work, that's your answer. So that's one way to approach this, but let's actually do it the way that's intended, which is, well, this. All right. So do you have a writing pad or how's your handwriting for screens?
It is terrible.
All right. Then I will write. You can tell me.
All right.
So I'm not going to tell you the steps. I want you to tell me what to do. And if I disagree,
Mm.
I will let you know. But remember, there's more than one way to approach this. So I want to see how you do it. Okay.
Okay. Um. All right. So first thing is be creative. There's already a 1 there, so just switch row 1 with row 2.
Yep. So I'm gonna.
That's a nice setup, by the way. I see your setup. It's a nice setup.
I like it. If you see me miscopy a number, let me know.
Yeah.
Oops. So there's a reason why it keeps doing that. I'm waiting on a different computer. Till then, it always sometimes just drags that line over when I pick up my pen.
I understand.
So you can see this is why I pre-type everything, because doing these by hand, it just most of the time is spent actually just writing it.
Also, yeah.
All right, so that's what we got.
All right, I'm writing it down on my side. Okay. There we go. Okay. Um, all right, next, the pattern. Uh, is it multiply row 2 by... No. Hold on. It's by... Yeah, is it multiply row 2 and then add it to... multiply row 2 by its opposite. So -2, and then... Actually, do I have to do anything from there? Or would that just be it? Multiply row
So
2 by its opposite. Like -2. Multiply row 2 by -2. It'll be like -2 row 2.
so remember, you're trying to make what are we trying to make this to?
A 0.
Yeah, and you're saying just multiply row 2 by negative.
Oh, yeah. Um,
Okay.
multiply, I mean, yeah. Multiply row 2 by -2 and then minus row 1. Is that it? Or is it?
So which row are we trying to change?
Second row.
So shouldn't row 2 go second then?
Yeah. Okay.
So we're doing something like that, right?
Okay.
And
Yes.
remember, whenever you write an addition or subtraction of two rows, the second row listed here gets changed.
Okay.
All right. So multiply what?
Uh, if I div the pattern. Hold on. 1 sec. All right. Okay. Bring up my notes. Okay. It was minus... Can you help me out here for a second? Can you help me out here?
Yeah, I can help you out.
I'm getting lost in these numbers and letters.
So looking at this, we want to make this a 0, right? We know that.
Yes.
So
Switch.
we multiply this 1 by what?
-2, right?
Yes. Yeah. So -2 times 1 is -2, and -2 plus 2 is 0. So we are multiplying row 1
there we go.
by -2. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next one, it'll be...
So hold on, let me write this down before you get ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so row 1 doesn't change, right? So we're going to have the
Yep.
1, 2, the 1, and the -4.
-4.
Kind of blending them. Sorry. Yep. And then we do the math. So tell me what the elements are.
Oh, yeah. It'll be... Let me pull up my notes. It'll be 0... Then 2 times equals 4. 0, 3. -2 times 1 is -2. -5 and...
So write it down. I can see you doing it in your head. Remember, this is... Sorry, that's a -2 in front, not a 2.
Yeah. So isn't it -2 times... 2, which is -4, and then plus the 1, which is -3.
There you go. Yeah, and it does help to write it down. So you should have had a paper. -4 plus 1 is -3, versus trying to hold everything in your head. All right, what's the next one?
All right, -2 times Three. Wait. I'm sorry. -2 times 1 equals -2. Uh, plus -3 equals -5.
Yes.
All right, and then -2 times -4 equals 8. Uh, plus 19, which is -11. Right? Yeah, -11.
Yep. All right, and just to save room, like in the example, we did one operation per line, but how do I make row 3 have a 0?
All right. Yeah. Uh, you would have to multiply. Here, let me think. Multiply -1 by row 3. No, row 1 plus 3. Row 1 plus 3. Row 3. Sorry, row 3. All right, and then if I do that, it'll be -1 to there, which is -1 plus row 3. Yeah, that works. So negative 1, row 1 time plus row 3. So yeah, -1 times row 1 plus row 3, right?
Yep. So what are the elements?
0. Uh, that's first one. That's here. I am trying to do it in my head. Here, -1. Oh, geez. Wait. Yeah, -2. There we go. -2 plus.
Write it down. It's easier to see it than think about it.
Yeah, I'm like looking at your screen and. All right. -2 plus -1 is why can't I think? -2 plus -1 equals. Why can't I think? -3. No. Wait. Yeah, -3. Yeah. I can't think. Sorry. Yeah. -3. Uh, -1 times 1 equals -1 plus 5 is 4. And -1 times -4 equals -4. Wait, that's 4. No, 4. Yeah, 4 plus 21, which is 25. Sorry, I'm getting all
No,
these numbers mixed up in my head.
you're fine. That's why you need to write things like scratch work down is okay. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to think about it, even though it sounds simple, right? When I say it, it sounds simple, but if you're trying to think about it yourself and hold those numbers, it may not be as easy.
Oh no,
I'm
I'm also like very dyslexic too. So like looking at all these numbers, it gets me confused in my head. So yeah. Uh, so
yeah, write it. Yeah, more
yeah.
scratched work. That's correct. Is there another way we could have done this to achieve a 0? Do you see another alternative we could have done?
Mm, help me out here.
No, you help me out. So if we didn't do this, can you see another way
Like
to make that a 0 using what we have here?
um I don't see it. I was just sticking to the pattern of it multiplying
Okay.
by its
Look at this. Look at this.
opposite.
Look at that one and look at that one. Couldn't I have
Okay.
done row 1 minus row 3? Isn't 1 minus 1 give me 0?
Yeah.
2 minus -1 is +3. 1 minus 5 would have been -4. And then -4 minus 21 would have been -25. So we would have got a 0, but the numbers actually would have been flip-flopped, right? That would have been a positive, negative, and negative. So, and that's okay. And
Mm.
remember, there's more than one way to approach these. So like when you saw do this, I immediately saw, oh, just do row 1 minus row 3. And I kind of would have saved a little bit of thinking. But there's nothing wrong with doing it, this pattern way, right?
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind next time.
Yeah, just different ways, right? Different
Yep.
ways. All right. So what's our next step?
Okay. Don't we have to make it row to the -3 a 1, or do we have to make it a 0?
No, you're right. Yeah, remember. So these are zeros. So our next goal is to make that a one. So you're
Yep.
right.
All right. Um, is it here? It's multiply 3 times. Nope, that's um. I'm trying to do something with row 3 and row 2 because I see that they're the same number, right? And I'm trying to,
Well, remember, we want to make a one, not a zero.
yeah.
So, using these probably not a good idea because we'll end up with,
Oh,
we won't end up
okay.
with one, right?
Yeah. Um, okay. Uh, times, is there, let's see, 2. Um, yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do right here.
Let me give you a hint. You want to
Yeah,
use, so I'm seeing you want to use row one and row two because look, that's a three and that's a two.
right.
So, that's negative, but, we can easily fix that. So looking, just using, ignore the whole negative right now. If I have a
Mhm.
three and a two, how can I make it a one?
Ignoring the negative, it would just be to subtract uh, uh, 3 and 2.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We need to, basically, we need to somehow get three minus two, right?
Hmm.
Um, or in other words, another combination, right? Oops, it's not my pen. Let me just. Um, what if we had a negative two and then we had a positive three, um, and just
Yeah, that would also be one.
so looking at that, basically what I'm telling you is we need to make this a negative two and make that a positive three. So how would I write that as a row operation?
Okay. Um, it would be one. Would it be -1 times row 1, something like that?
Keep going.
All right, and then uh, plus. Let me think, and then -1 times row 3, or wait, yeah, row 2. Sorry, row 2, row 2. Would that
Okay,
work?
see, well, you tell me, see if it works.
Let's see. -1 times row 1. It's wait. If I do that, that makes the yeah. If I do that, then that makes 1 up there -1, because -1 times. Oh, but yeah, row 1 doesn't change. Okay, I'm learning. Okay, -1 times row 2 equals -2 plus -1 -3 That's yeah, it works. It works. Yeah, it works. -1, -2. Yeah, let me write this down. -2 plus
So don't write anything down yet because I'm
3
I'm leading you down this path
equals.
to show you
No,
something important.
okay.
So let me show you it so you don't have to write anything else down. So if we do what we have on here, we'll do -1 times. So let me get my pointer out here. We get -1 times row 1 plus row 2. So look at this. If we do -1 times 1 is -1, -1 plus 0 gives us, look at this, it changes that 0 to a -1. -1 times 2 is -2, -2 plus -1 times -3. So we get our 1 here, right?
Yeah.
And then, the next one, I get -1, basically plus 5. So we get a 4 here. And then we get -1 times -4 is 4. And then basically 4 plus 11 is 15. So here's the problem. So let me ask you, what is the problem?
Well, we're supposed to have 2 zeros in the row 2 and row 3 in the first column.
Yeah, look at
Yeah.
that. So row 2, we change that 0 into something else. And that's
Yeah.
the problem. So,
So,
as you were trying to figure this out, I was also thinking about how we could do this without having fractions. And it looks like we're going to have fractions. I don't really see another way around this.
okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it, and let's do something. So again, these problems are so different. I'm going to try to avoid fractions as long as possible, but I don't know if we can. Let me just delete all this stuff. Wish I could just highlight everything, but I don't have that feature. All right. So like I said before, ideally we would want to make this a 1, make zeros, make this a 1, make those zeros, make this a 1, make these zeros. But if we want to avoid fractions, sometimes we have to kind of deviate from that path and do something else. So I'm going to try it. I don't know if it's going to help, but instead of making this a 1, we know we need to make this 1 eventually and make that a 0 and make this a 0. So I look at this and I'm saying, hey, I can use what's here and I can make that a 0 pretty easy. Do you see how to do that?
Yeah, I have to use that -3, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. Uh, let's see. Would it have to be row 3? Oops. Sorry. For some reason, I keep making my R's A, B. Okay. Wait. If I add it like that, then it's just going to be -6. If I multiply it, it's just going to be 9. So we have to flip we have to make one of the signs opposite, right?
Yep. Doesn't matter which one, really up to you.
Okay. And whatever the row is, it leaves unchanged. But I also don't want to make another row one of the zeros a -1, right?
Mm-hmm. And we won't. So we have to flip this to a positive, right? Because +3 minus 3 is 0, right?
Okay.
So we want to multiply row 2 by -1
Mm.
and then add it to our row 3. So look at this. So we have -1 times 0 plus 0 is still 0. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
so you can see what's going on here. -1 times -3 is +3, and then +3 plus -3 is 0.
Mm.
And then -1 times -5 is +5, and then +5 plus 4 is 9. We doing good so far?
Yep.
Next, we do -1 times -11 is
36.
+11, and then 11 plus 25, yeah, is 36. And then I'm going to go ahead and just copy the other
Yep,
two
go
rows
ahead.
here. So we got 1, 2, 1, -4, 0, -3, -5, and then -11. Okay. So like I said before, even though, if it was a super easy problem, we would make this a 1 first and then make these zeros. But it is okay. Once we got these zeros, we could make, one of these a 0.
Mm.
And, looking at this, these are just the same number. So let's make one of them opposite. So when we add them, we get a 0. And that's what we did. Still, there's really nothing that I can do to make that a 1 yet without creating fractions. So we're going to put this on hold and let's see if we can make this a 1.
Oh, okay.
Or I
Uh,
could have maybe made this a 0 somehow, maybe, but I can't see how to do that either right now.
mm.
But can you see if we can make this a 1 without creating fractions?
Let's see. I mean, isn't a way to do it. Wait, if I divide, it creates factions, right? If I
Well,
divide it,
well, not necessarily. What did you want to divide by?
um, I wanted to, I wanted, uh, my original thought was to divide by 9, but then I realized that that wouldn't work because it has to be.
Well, why couldn't you? Well, so take me through it. Why you can't? So we can kind of maybe see something.
So I'm trying to remember all these rules, how, uh, it has to, there, it's, there has to be a row that is affected, that's not affected, but it
Yeah.
has this,
Well, no, hang on. So that's only if you do this. Remember, there's 3 things we can do, right? We
okay.
can do like a sum or a difference, right? Like we did here. So that's one thing we could do. So is adding 2 rows together, basically. We
Mm.
can swap rows. So that's the second thing we could do. Or we can multiply an entire row by some number. Or, divide the entire row by some number. It's the same thing.
Mm. Um, uh, well, then couldn't we do uh, row 3 divided by 9 then?
Does 9 go into 9 evenly? Well, once, right?
Yeah.
Does 9 go into 36 evenly?
9, 18, 20, 9, 18, 27, 36. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely, we definitely could do that. So let's do that. Let's multiply row 3 by 1 over 9. So I'm going to write that down. Let's bring my work up to the next line. So we're going to do 1 over 9 times row number 3. So, row 1 and row 2 don't change. I'm just going to copy that down. So we got 1, 2, 1, -4, it looks like.
Hmm.
And then 0, -3, -5, -11. All right, so dividing everything by 9, right? 1/9 times row 3 is the same thing as dividing by 9. So what's 0 divided by 9?
One more time, you lagged right there.
What is 0 divided by 9?
0.
What's 0? Okay. Again, right? And what's
Yeah.
9 divided by 9?
1.
And then what's 36 divided by 9?
4.
Ooh, look at that. All right, we're on our way. We are avoiding fractions, and again, kind of coming back to this point right here. We, like I said, we could have made this a 1, but then we would have fractions. So if you decided to divide everything by -3, you just would have had fractions, and that's really no fun, right? So
Oh, I see why. Because -3 and -11, it would have made a fraction there. Yeah, I
yeah,
got you.
we would have had 5/3 and 11/3.
Yeah,
So
I
and we
got
could have done it that way, but then we have to just really deal with fractions. Um, Easily possible, just not that fun, right? It's much easier to kind of keep everything as integers as long as we possibly can.
you. Hmm.
And I think for the most part, every example we have, there is a way to probably maintain integers the entire duration. So we had to we had to skip over this, and we then had to go to this to make that a 0. So that's what we did. And then from here, if we try to go back to make that a 1, we still can't without having fractions. So we just go to this one and make that a 1, and look, hey, there's still we have no fractions. And now from this point, so let me draw something real quick. So I want to say, generally speaking, actually, let me hold my thought. Actually, I'll say it now, and if I'm wrong, I'll just correct at the very end. But I think that if our path, if we we start here, make that a 1, and then we do these, and we do this one, and then we do this one, and then we go here, and then up, and then over and over. So if you go in that order, let me just kind of point. We make that a
Oh,
1, we make that a 0, we make that a 0, we make this a 0, we make this a 1, we make this a 0, we make this a 1, we make this a 0, we make this a 0. If you follow this path, I want to say you can probably avoid fractions every time, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I think this is the path we're actually taking, and you can see that, right?
yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so we did 1, did 0, we did 0, we did this 0, then we did this into a 1. So now we're going to make this one into a 0 for our next step.
And I'm pretty sure that's what the lesson taught too, to go into.
Yeah, so
Yeah, gotcha.
I'll just I'll leave this here. I'll delete at the very end so we can see the numbers. But
Hmm.
and let's see if that pathing is correct. So let's make that -5 a 0. So what should I do?
-5 is 0. 1 second. Okay. Well, couldn't you? Isn't it row? Here, let me think here. Row 1 times 5.
So careful, because
Yeah.
if you use row 1 and you add it to row 2, you change this 0 to something else. So we probably don't want to use row 1, but you are on the right track.
Okay. Would it be? Okay.
So
Gotcha.
I see that you saw this 1 and 1 to use it, right?
Yeah.
It's better to use this one instead because we have
All right.
zeros here.
Okay. All right. I understand. So then row 3 times 5 plus row 2.
Yep, perfect.
Okay. All
All
right.
right,
I'm
so
getting
let's go ahead
faster.
and. Oh yeah, it's good. Let's go ahead and I'm just gonna copy down my row one again because we're not
Yep.
changing it. And then we're gonna copy down row three because we're not changing that either.
Yep. So that would be 0, -3.
Oh, by the way, so we
0.
can see real quick. So check us out. We can see real quick. Remember, our solution is x, y, and z, right?
Yeah.
Do we already know one of the variables, one of the answers?
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
Which one do we know?
The z.
Yeah, we know the z. So z equals what?
4.
So, oh, my eyes, they hurt. So bright. So looking at this, it looks like we're down to two choices. So it's either going to be this answer or this answer, right? So it can't, we eliminated one of the three choices.
Yeah, but wouldn't one of the three choices already be eliminated since, the starting integers was 19, -4, 21, and we would have to change them into,
Not necessarily.
Not
necessarily.
really? Okay.
Maybe. I wouldn't go off that assumption. That could be wrong.
I got you.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Let me. Yeah. No. I don't know.
All
All right. So, tell me the elements.
All right. Elements. Well, first one's 0. Next one is -3. Next one is 0. And last one is 5. 20 plus 9. It's 9.
Ooh, so look at this. So it looks like this pathing this pathing is kind of working out real nice, isn't it?
Yes.
So where do we go next?
-3.
Yeah, so now we're back at that number, hopefully without having fractions. So how can I make that a 1 now?
Well, it looks like -3 can go into 9 this time, so I think I can go the route that I took once before, right? If I do,
Which is?
it's -1 times row 1 plus wait 1 sec. It's -1 times row 1 plus -1 times row 2. Let me see if that works. -1. Because that's what I did last time, and the only problem with that one is that -3 didn't really factor into -5 and 11 pretty well, so
I know, but remember, this is a different row now. Now it's just 0, -3, 0, and 9.
mhm. So plus, oh no, because that would still change it into a -1. Yeah.
So you can
Gotcha.
see that
Yeah.
would make that not a 0. So
Yeah.
good try, but not the right choice.
Yeah.
What else we got?
I mean, it has to be something with the 2 and the 3, right?
I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe not.
Yeah. Let me see if this can do it. Oh, wait. I can just multiply row 2 by... No, because we're trying to make it... Yeah, I could just multiply row 2 by... Or divide row 2 by -3. Because... Or 1 over negative... Wait.
Yeah.
Does that work? Yeah,
Me
that
too.
works.
Does it work? Does it work?
Here, let's.
Let's do it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Uh, 1/-3 divided by 3. Yeah, row 2. Yeah, row 2. Sorry. That I was just doing it in my head. But yeah.
Okay, so what are the elements then we get?
Um. Well, that's 0, 3. 0, 1, 0. -3.
Oh, this is looking pretty
Pretty,
nice.
pretty
Okay,
nice.
so let's see if this path thing still holds true. So we did the one, we got the 0, 0, 0, we got the one, we got the 0, we finally got a one here with no fractions. And now it looks like we're going back up to here.
Mhm.
So what should we do?
Well, we got to make that 2 a 0.
Sure.
So, wouldn't it be uh row 3? Couldn't we do row 3 times row 2? I mean row 1. Sorry, row 1.
Hang on a second. Let me write
Oh,
this
wait,
first.
no. I can't do
No,
that.
hold on. I didn't hear what you said, but let me finish writing this.
No,
I'm a terrible multitasker. I can do one thing really well. I can do two things really bad. All right, so say it again. Sorry.
yeah, I can't do it because if I multiply row 3 into row 1, it gets rid of the 1 and turns it into a 0. Yeah. But
Well,
what I
hold on a second. So you're saying multiply row 3 by -1 and then add it to row 1?
no, I was wait. Negative- If I Oh yeah, no, I was right. So multiply row 3 and then add it to row 1 and then yeah, I think that works.
What do we multiply row 3 by?
Um I want to make it a 2. So wait, couldn't no, if I uh wait, let me look at the notes again. Um could I just multiply that by -2 and then
Which
add
row?
multiply row 3 by -2 and add it into wait, no, that wait, yeah. Wait, no, because that just makes it that's just the same because it's a 0. Um
You're right there. You're right there.
am I? I
Try
think
again. Yeah, try again. You're so close.
okay. All right. Um let's see. So if I multiply row let's see. What if I multiply row 2 by -2 and then add it into row 1 because -2 times 1 equals -2, and then if I add it into row 1, that would be 0, and the 1 wouldn't be affected. So I think that works.
So you're saying -2 times row 2
Yeah.
plus row 1.
Yes.
I knew you'd get there.
Oh, yeah. I was using the 0 instead of the 1.
So I want to point something out that I didn't want to kind of give away before, but
Mhm.
so going back to the beginning, once you have this a one, we can use this row
Index.
to make these zeros. Once you have this a one, we can now use it to make this a zero if it wasn't already, and to use this to make that a zero if it wasn't already, which it's not. So
Pattern.
that's
Yeah.
kind of a tip for you. So yeah, so that this should have been a giveaway. When this is a one and we have a zero to the left of it, of course,
Mhm.
we're going to use row two to make everything above it or below it a zero. So that's what we did. So nice job. All right. So what are these elements then?
First one is 1. Next one is 0. And let's see. -2 row. That's 1. The one on the top is 1.
Okay. And
Oh yeah, the last one. -2 times row 2 is that's +6. +6 into that's 2. That's 2.
okay, good. All right. So before we go on, I meant to ask this earlier, but once we got to this step, do we know another variable? So
Uh,
we already said z was 4. Do we know another variable?
oh yes. Y is -3.
Yeah. So I'm gonna at the very top. I'm just gonna write the order triplet of what we know so far.
Yep.
So we know that we said y was what?
-3.
3. And then z we said was
4.
4. Let's go back to that previous page, see if we can actually just figure out what the answer is without even going any further. Um, so yeah, we can see right here. Y is -3, z is 4, right?
Yeah.
So this would be the answer for here. And then which matrix goes in the other box?
Uh, the matrix where the
First,
last
second, or third?
element. Oh, first. First.
First one, yeah. And we can see that right here, right? Because y is -3 and z is 4, so that would go in this box. So we're still going to finish the problem, but we should expect x to be what?
-2.
Yeah, let's go ahead and finish it. But yeah, so we can, but doing what we have, we narrowed it down, right? So let's keep going.
Yep.
All right. So what do we do next?
I think the last thing would be minus row 3 to row 1. So subtract row 3 from row 1.
And does that work?
Let's see.
I'm going to go
Yeah,
ahead and
yeah,
write.
I think it does. Because, yeah, 0. Oh, wait, would that change the 1 to a -1? On the very top element. Would that change the 1 to a -1?
It would actually. You're right. It would, because 0 minus 1 is -1.
Yeah.
So probably not that. What's something
Yeah.
else we could do instead?
Um, well, we could do the pattern, right? Where it's,
Yeah. So yeah, what is that?
yeah. The pattern is it's yeah, -1 times row 3. Wait, yeah, -1 times row 3 plus row 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we
We
go.
just flip it, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So you were close and you saw that you would have had a -1. So what are the elements that we get?
1, 0, 0, -2.
And we're done. And we now have the matrix and we
Whoa!
have,
Only took an hour.
oh, that was like, yeah, that was an hour.
Yeah, only took
That's
an
okay.
hour.
No, that's okay. So going back to this pathing, so it looks like that pathing actually worked out real nice. We start here, make that a 1, make that a 0, 0, make that a 0, make that a 1, make that a 0, make that a 1, make that a 0, make that a 0. So yeah, that worked out real nice.
Okay.
Yeah, these are just, you have to practice and you really gotta, write stuff down. So, thinking about it versus writing it down, it's sometimes hard to kind of do this math in your head.
hmm
But, we did it in 1, 2, 3. Well, really, we did 2 things here. So, really, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 steps. And we avoided fractions.
Woot, woot.
Hmm.
Uh,
Do you feel a little better about these?
I definitely think I have a better understanding of it. I think for me to get faster at it, it'll just take time because all the numbers that I have to remind myself to keep
Hmm.
the same, not keep the same, to because it's not like normal addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. It's yeah, I have to
Row
I have,
operations.
yeah, it's not like normal yeah, it's not normal. So
I hear
I
you.
just have to I just have to remind myself of the rules and and apply it to every step that I take. So it's just gonna take me time for me to get
Yeah,
used to it, but I
I'm gonna
definitely
email
have a better
everyone in
understanding of it.
class this recording. So I think everyone in our class should actually probably watch this. I think this was actually a really good example to work through one of these and to avoid fractions. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, so hopefully everyone does watch this and they watch it in its entirety.
They're
So
gonna watch me struggle for an hour, but
you know what? Everyone's gonna struggle.
you know,
There will be very few that don't, but as a majority, everyone will struggle just the same.
hey,
Maybe less, maybe more. So it's a learning
yeah,
experience.
yeah. To any students that are still watching this video, I appreciate you for being patient with me. So, you know,
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop the recording.
yep.
Call it a day.